Can I figure out the most dramatic last-minute goals ever? 94 minutes and 30 seconds. That's when it happened. Not in the 90th, not even close. A goal so late, so absurd, that the man who scored it didn't even know how to celebrate. He just stood there in shock. And that's not even the craziest one on this list. Stick around, because by the end of this, you're going to understand why football fans say a match is never ever over until the referee blows that final whistle. Before we get into it, if you're into football history, the kind of stories that even die-hard fans somehow never heard, hit subscribe now, because this channel drops these every week, and trust me, you don't want to scroll past the next one. Let's start in Manchester, 1999. The Champions League final. Bayern Munich are up 1-0. They're so confident they're already setting up the trophy ribbons in their team's colors on the podium. Some of their players are practically celebrating on the pitch before the final whistle. And then, stoppage time hits. Manchester United, who looked completely dead in the water all night, win a corner. Chaos in the box. The ball falls to a substitute who pokes it in. 1-1. The stadium can't even process it. But United aren't done. Straight from kickoff, they win another corner seconds later. Another scramble. Another United sub buries it. 2 goals, 2 minutes. 1 trophy stolen right out of Bayern's hands in the cruelest way imaginable. To this day, it's considered one of the greatest comebacks in the history of the sport, and it happened in less time than it takes to boil an egg. But here's the thing about last-minute goals. They don't just win trophies, sometimes they end nations. Fast forward to a World Cup qualifier, a match that decided who would go to the biggest stage in football and who would go home. The team trailing needed a miracle. Deep into stoppage time, with basically the last kick of the entire game, a shot rips into the top corner. The stadium doesn't cheer, it detonates. Grown men in the crowd are sobbing. Players are ripping their shirts off, running to the corner flag like they've just won the whole tournament, not just 1 goal. Because that's what a last-minute goal does. It's not just 3 points. It's the difference between a nation celebrating for weeks and a nation going quiet for years. Now here's a question. What's actually happening in a player's brain in those final 60 seconds? Sports scientists have looked into this, and it's wild. Under that kind of pressure, your body dumps adrenaline and cortisol into your bloodstream at levels similar to combat stress responses. Your peripheral vision narrows. Time perception distorts. Players have described the ball moving in slow motion in those moments, which is probably why so many of the most dramatic goals in history don't come from the best player on the pitch. They come from defenders, from substitutes, from guys who've barely touched the ball all game, suddenly thrown into a moment their entire career will be remembered for. Take a Champions League semi-final a few years back. A center-back, a guy whose entire job is to stop goals, not score them, ghosts into the box in the final seconds of extra time and heads home a winner that sends his club to the final for the first time in decades. He'd scored maybe a handful of goals in his entire career up to that point. That one header outweighs all of them combined. That's the beauty of it. Last-minute goals don't care about reputation. They don't care who's supposed to be the hero. And then there's the flip side, the heartbreak. For every team celebrating in the 95th minute, there's another team lying on the grass, hands on their heads, completely gutted. There's a phrase fans use for this, smash and grab. When a team defends for 90 minutes, thinks they've survived, and then in one moment, one mistake, one lapse in concentration, it's gone. Some players have talked about how a late equalizer or winner, conceded like that, stays with them longer than almost anything else in their career. Longer than red cards, longer than missed penalties. Because there's no time to fix it. The whistle blows right after, and you have to just sit with it. Which brings us to maybe the most insane example of all. A World Cup final that went to the very last kind of stoppage time you can have, penalties, but got there because of a goal so late it barely counts as regulation time. The scoreline was level. Everyone assumed it was heading to penalties anyway. And then out of nowhere, a header in the 118th minute, deep into extra time, puts one team ahead. Cameras cut to the bench, and you can see grown coaching staff losing their minds, hugging strangers, players who'd already mentally prepared for a shootout, suddenly sprinting the length of the pitch in celebration. It's one of the latest goals ever scored in a World Cup final, and it happened in a moment where most players' legs are basically dead from exhaustion. That's what makes it even crazier, scoring your career-defining goal in the minute where your body has nothing left to give. So why do these moments hit us so much harder than a goal in the 15th minute that ends up being just as important on the score sheet? Psychologists who study sports fandom say it comes down to anticipation and release. The longer the tension builds, and there's no tension like the tension of a scoreless final minute, the bigger the emotional payoff when it finally breaks. Your brain has been bracing for disappointment the entire time. And when the goal goes in instead, that relief hits like a wave. It's basically the same mechanism as a jump scare in a horror movie, except instead of fear, you get pure euphoria. That's why grown adults cry over a ball going into a net. It's not really about the goal. It's about everything your nervous system went through in the seconds before it. And that's the real reason these moments live forever. Not just because of the skill, not just because of the stakes, but because of what they do to everyone watching. The fans in the stadium who go hoarse screaming, the ones at home who wake up their entire neighborhood, the commentators who lose their voice mid-sentence because words stop working. A last-minute goal isn't just a football moment, it's one of the purest bursts of collective human emotion you'll find anywhere in sports. So here's the real question. Out of everything we just went through, which one would actually make you lose your mind if you were in that stadium? Drop it in the comments, because trust me, everyone's got a different answer, and the debate is half the fun.